This elite government agent in his 30s gets sent undercover to a high school to find some missing gold bars worth billions. But here's the crazy part. His homeroom teacher turns out to be his childhood crush, who has no idea who he really is. So now he's stuck trying to blend in with teenagers, deal with deal with bullies, student council drama, and solve a decades-old mystery while fighting his feelings for his teacher. Talk about awkward. The whole insane story starts with Jung Hong, this elite field agent from the National Intelligence Service, chasing down some criminal who's smuggling artifacts. During this crazy car chase, Jung Hong literally climbs onto the roof of the speeding vehicle, breaks through the window with his helmet, and retrieves the stolen artifact. But then the car crashes and bursts into flames. His colleagues think he's dead, but this absolute madman emerges from the fire, carrying both the criminal and the artifact, like some kind of action movie hero. Everything seems perfect until they get back to headquarters and discover the artifact got broken during the fight. The director is absolutely furious and immediately orders Jong Hong's dismissal. Luckily, his uncle Seoko, who's also his team leader, pleads for his nephew to stay and is willing to do anything to prevent his termination. That's when the director gives him one last chance, a secret mission that could save his career. Seoko gathers the team to explain this impossible task. Years ago, King Gung had entrusted 10 tons of gold bars to Seo Byung-moon, the director of a prestigious school, to help with national independence. But after Japan's defeat and Korea's independence, Byung-moon betrayed the nation and hid the gold that was supposed to help rebuild the country. The National Intelligence Service had already investigated Byung-moon's consortium based on photographic evidence, but they found nothing. The only place left unsearched was Byungmun High School, which was owned by Byung-moon's foundation. Recently, they received a tip that the hidden gold was at the school, and the foundation was planning to smuggle it abroad. Jong Hong's mission? Go undercover as a high school student and locate the gold. Yeah, a guy in his 30s pretending to be a teenager. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, at Byungmun High School, the teachers are celebrating the vice principal's birthday. Osua, who's desperate to secure a full-time teaching position, is singing and dancing to impress the vice principal. She ends up drinking way too much, causes a scene by pulling off the vice principal's wig, and steals his taxi. Frustrated and drunk, she goes to her mother's shop to recover. That's where she first meets Jong Hong and feels an immediate attraction to this handsome stranger. At that moment, a group of men try to dine and dash, pretending to be students and falsely accusing Sua's mother of selling alcohol to minors. When Sua confronts them, they almost hit her, but Jong Hong steps in and defeats them all, forcing them to pay. Sua's mother refuses to accept Jong Hong's money for dinner, but he insists on paying before leaving. Sua is absolutely enchanted and convinced she's fallen in love at first sight. Back home, Jong Hong recalls being bullied in high school, which left him with a deep aversion to schools. But he pulls himself together and reviews the operation plan with his team. They tell him that Byungmun High School operates under a rigid military-like hierarchy, where even teachers fear the powerful student council. For his undercover mission, they create a special identity as a transfer student, an unwelcome status at the school. To blend in, Jong Hong needs to learn internet slang and viral memes. Jong Hong had been raised by his uncle Seoko and his wife, along with their daughter Yu Jong. During dinner that evening, Yu Jong learns about Jong Hong's mission at Byungmun High School, the very school she attends. She's shocked to discover he'll be going undercover as a student, not a teacher. When Jong Hong arrives at school in his uniform, he spots Sua avoiding the vice principal and helps her by pointing in the opposite direction. Sua recognizes him from his name tag as the new student assigned to her class and introduces herself as his homeroom teacher. The moment she realizes he's the handsome man who defended her the night before, she's utterly shocked. Her crush has just become her student. Taking on her teacher role, Sua scolds him, assuming he used a fake identity to drink that night. When she introduces him to the class, the female students squeal in excitement over the handsome new classmate. Meanwhile, Yu Jong can hardly believe her cousin is undercover as a student in her own class. During break, Yu Jong takes him to the rooftop and promises to help with his mission as long as he keeps her school life secret from her parents. They agree to stay out of each other's way. Unaccustomed to attending classes, Jong Hong dozes off and when Sua touches his shoulder, he instinctively reacts with a defensive reflex. During recess, two female classmates ask for his social media handles, but Jong Hong doesn't understand what they mean, making them laugh. Outside, he feels overwhelmed by his classmates' chaotic energy and ends up getting milk spilled on his uniform. While scouting for potential hiding spots for the gold bars, he discovers an old restricted building with a locked door, but notices the electricity meter is active. Something suspicious. As he plans how to enter discreetly, he hears insults nearby and sees bullies tormenting his seatmate Dong Min. The bullies ignore Jong Hong's presence and order Dong Min to buy drinks for everyone. Jong Hong's about to lose his temper when he imagines his uncle as a wise Buddha advising patience. So he calmly agrees to buy the drinks instead. Back in class, Jong Hong asks Dong Min about the old building. His classmate warns him it's rumored to be haunted and advises staying away. Jong Hong also encourages Dong Min to stand up to bullies, warning that if he doesn't, they'll only continue targeting him. The school board president Seo Mong-ju attends a staff member's funeral, promising the family she'll take care of the deceased employee's son's education. A board member quietly remarks that the employee's sudden death right after disputing educational policies with the president seems suspicious. Mong-ju warns him to stay silent. That night, Jong Hong changes clothes, disables security surveillance, and breaks into the old building. While searching with a flashlight, someone suddenly points a gun at him. He recognizes Sua, who's trying to appear calm while holding a gas pistol and demanding he remove his mask. Noticing her patrol armband, Jong Hong realizes she found him by chance. He blinds her with his flashlight and escapes, with Sua chasing after him until she collides with a security guard. The director informs Mong-ju that Sua was the only witness to the intruder. Knowing the suspect escaped through the first floor without reaching the basement, Mong-ju decides to wait for his return. The next day, a troublesome student orders Jong Hong to max out a character's level in a game. Jong Hong calls Yu Jong asking her to hack the game, but she refuses and hangs up. Meanwhile, Jong Hong's team reads about the chairwoman's plan to transform the city into a national education hub with a budget exceeding 800 billion, the exact amount as the missing gold bars. They suspect she intends to smuggle the gold abroad, launder the money, and establish this Edu City. Yu Jong warns Jong Hong about the school's biggest troublemaker, Tai-soo, who uses his congressman father's influence to intimidate classmates. During class, Jong Hong notices Dong Min is absent. When Sua asks about his whereabouts, Tai-soo claims he's sick and left early. Sua believes him, but Jong Hong senses something's wrong. During break, while reluctantly playing the game he was forced into, Jong Hong sees the director enter the old building. When he tries to peek through the door, the school guard drives him away. He moves to a secluded spot and reports the director's movements to his uncle. After hanging up, he hears noises from a trash can and is shocked to find Dong Min stuffed inside. Jong Hong immediately knows Tai-soo is behind it, realizing Dong Min doesn't fight back because he only has his grandmother and no parents to protect him. Dong Min begs Jong Hong not to tell the teachers, fearing his situation will worsen. Just then, Sua arrives and sees Dong Min dirty, assuming Jong Hong was bullying him. To avoid trouble, Dong Min lies that he accidentally fell and quickly walks away. Tai-soo, who witnessed everything, is furious and takes the matter to the student council, irritated that Jong Hong freed Dong Min without permission. Yu Jong bravely confronts Tai-soo about his abusive behavior, but he mocks her as just a subordinate of student council president Yena. Annoyed by the argument, Yena orders Tai-soo to apologize to Yu Jong. He reluctantly complies, fearing Yena's mother, President Mong-ju, could jeopardize his father's political ambitions. During lunch, Dong Min shares an urban legend about the old building, a story of a ballerina who was bullied, hit by a car, left disabled, and eventually died. The bullies supposedly hid her body beneath the floor, and security guards have reported seeing her ghost. Dong Min insists he has proof, a video he recorded capturing a figure in the practice room. Before he can finish, Tai-soo arrives to intimidate him. He spits into Dong Min's food and orders him to eat it. When Dong Min reluctantly picks up his spoon, Jong Hong intervenes, condemning Tai-soo's behavior. Furious, Tai-soo flips the tray and confronts Jong Hong. Not wanting to use force and draw attention, Jong Hong simply defends himself and restrains Tai-soo. Both are taken to the vice principal's office, where Taisu is quickly released while Sua is ordered to punish Jong Hong severely. Sua questions Jong Hong about his issues with Taisu, suggesting he should have reported to a teacher. Remembering his own bullying experience while teachers ignored the situation, Jong Hong expresses sadness that school bullying still persists. He asks if Sua is pretending not to notice or genuinely unaware, then walks away, leaving her conflicted. Meanwhile, the director shows Seoko a video of Jong Hong fighting Taisu and reprimands him, reminding Jong Hong that he joined the National Intelligence Service following his father's footsteps and shouldn't dishonor his memory. Back home, Jong Hong recalls the last time he saw his father, who never returned from work that day. Dissatisfied with Jong Hong's public humiliation, Taisu begins plotting revenge. A gang leader demands payment for Taisu's debt, threatening to use civilian ID cards for online gambling fronts if he can't pay. Taisu devises a plan, going to Dongmin's house while he's out working. Pretending to be his friend, he lies to the boy's grandmother that Dongmin won a scholarship requiring her ID to claim it. Believing him, she retrieves her identification. Unaware of this, Dongmin is making a delivery when he spots Jong Hong sneaking into the old building. Curious, he follows. Jong Hong tries to convince him to leave, but Dongmin thinks Jong Hong is investigating the urban legend and refuses to go. They reach the basement and hear strange noises. Following the sounds, they spot a person wearing a hat who suddenly hurls a hammer at them before fleeing. Jong Hong attempts to capture the person but fails. However, he discovers a locked door and uses a sophisticated lockpicking kit to open it. Inside, the walls are covered with information about the missing gold bars. He immediately calls his uncle, suspecting the chairwoman is also searching for the gold. Unknown to him, his actions are being recorded by hidden cameras, and Mong-ju is watching through security footage. Just as they're about to leave, Jong Hong notices Dong Min has turned pale, pointing fearfully at something on the floor. Looking down, Jong Hong sees a skeleton beneath the wooden planks. Upon investigation, he realizes it's just a model, but he also finds a key nearby. Suddenly, the director walks in, and Jong Hong quickly claims they were merely curious about the school's urban legends. The director doesn't ask further questions and lets them go. Then reports to Mong-ju, who instructs him not to interfere but to observe Jong Hong's discoveries closely. Jong Hong returns to his team with the key, which bears an identical design to the Byungmun seal, suggesting a connection between the missing gold and the school's urban legends. Meanwhile, an intelligence officer reveals that the artifact was actually fake, but the director destroys the authenticity report to keep their top agent on the mission. Jong Hong visits Dongmin to hear more urban legends. Dongmin tells him about a mysterious clock that only chimes at night when someone is alone at school. When it rings, blood-red eyes appear. As Jong Hong listens intently, Sua suddenly drags him outside, demanding to know why he took Dongmin's grandmother's ID card. She'd received a call from the elderly woman asking when she'd get her documents back. Jong Hong quickly realizes Taisu is behind it, but chooses not to tell Sua, fearing retaliation against Dongmin. While Sua waits to punish him, Jong Hong sends a text lying about needing to check gas at his house. Instead, he heads to the security room and confronts the guard, exposing him as the attacker from the previous night. The guard confesses, explaining he followed a stray cat into the old building and stumbled upon the skeleton. Panicking, he hid under the floorboards, got stuck, and later returned to fix the floor, but lashed out when caught. Jong Hong reassures him that the skeleton was just a model, easing his anxiety. Meanwhile, Dongmin discovers Taisu took his grandmother's ID and bravely asks for it back. Taisu cruelly tosses it on the ground and steps on Dongmin's hand as he reaches for it. 앞으로 그런 왼손으로 써. Sua witnesses this bullying and asks if it happens often, but Dongmin stays silent while Taisu arrogantly warns Sua to stay out of it. Jong Hong helps Dongmin's grandmother collect scattered cardboard boxes and walks her home. In gratitude, she gives him money for snacks, hoping he'll remain friends with her grandson. Jong Hong saves his number in Dongmin's phone, encouraging him to reach out whenever needed, marking Dongmin's first experience with true friendship. Later, Sua and Jong Hong meet at a convenience store near their homes. She apologizes for misjudging him and feels ashamed for not realizing Dongmin's struggles sooner. Jong Hong gives her the money from Dongmin's grandmother, urging her to become a teacher worthy of such a gift. As she watches Jong Hong picking beans out of his food, Sua is reminded of a childhood friend with the same habit. As they're leaving, Jong Hong receives a distress call from Dong Min. His grandmother has been arrested. Police investigating an illegal online casino found her ID falsely registered as the site's operator. Knowing reporting to the director won't help, Sua takes action by exposing Taisu's bullying and the illegal gambling case on the school's website, causing an uproar. To manage the online rumors, Mongju summons parents to school. With Dong Min's grandmother still detained, Sua acts as his guardian. Taisu's father dismisses the online accusations as lies. Despite Sua's encouragement, Dong Min hesitates, then ultimately lies, declaring the published article false and that Jong Hong was the real aggressor. Later, Dong Min admits to Jong Hong that Taisu threatened him with a knife, warning his grandmother would die in prison if he didn't falsely accuse Jong Hong.
그리고 하나 더.
However, he keeps this to himself and pleads with Sua not to get involved, fearing she'll get hurt. Jong Hong asks his colleague to investigate Taisu's past and connections. The school announces a disciplinary hearing to determine whether Jong Hong should be expelled. As parents and teachers gather, the vice principal questions Dong Min again about his accusations. Dong Min sticks to his story, and the vice principal declares Jong Hong's expulsion. Just as the ruling is about to be finalized, Sua panics and awkwardly asks if anyone wants lunch. The vice principal scolds her, but at that moment, the sound of a roaring motorcycle interrupts the hearing. Jong Hong makes a dramatic entrance, removing his helmet and bringing a passenger straight into the meeting room. Before attending the hearing, he'd gone to the illegal casino headquarters, confronted the mafia boss, and forced him to hand over Taisu's criminal records. Underestimated because of his school uniform, Jong Hong was attacked by gang members, but effortlessly took them down. He defeated everyone, while Yu Zhong copied necessary information onto a flash drive. Jong Hong forces the criminal to confess Taisu's involvement in illegal gambling. The man reveals Taisu was not only a VIP member, but also recruited clients and helped forge identification documents, including Dongmin's grandmother's ID. Despite his father's arguments, undeniable proof is displayed when Jong Hong tosses the flash drive to Sua. With clear footage of Taisu handing over Dongmin's grandmother's ID, Taisu can no longer deny his actions. Enraged, he throws a punch at Jong Hong, who retaliates. Seeing the situation, Mongju expels Taisu to protect the school's reputation. Afterward, Dongmin apologizes to Jong Hong for his cowardice. Jong Hong understands his struggle and reassures him. Later, Sua tends to Jong Hong's wounds, and both feel especially happy about their joint victory. As they share the moment, Sua blushes when Jong Hong gently removes a petal from her hair, completely flustered, and can only run away. The investigation continues with more urban legends. Jong Hong learns about 2 clocks at the school and discovers he needs to join the student council to access one. Despite meeting requirements through top grades and signatures, he must gain approval from student council president Yena, who's intrigued by this different boy. Jong Hong's uncle and team hilariously set up a support booth, offering free sandwiches for signatures, successfully getting him the required endorsements. Meanwhile, Yu Zhong doesn't want him to join, fearing he'll discover how she's mistreated by other council members. After joining the student council, Jong Hong infiltrates the office to investigate the clock, but finds nothing suspicious. Suddenly, someone slides a letter under the door, reading, "Nice to meet you, Agent Jong Hong." Alarmed, he hands it to the director, who orders the team to locate whoever delivered it. Jong Hong receives a call from the school security guard, who asks him to come alone to the rooftop. When Jong Hong arrives, he hears the clock strike midnight. He finds the guard has fallen from the rooftop, and in his hand is a notebook, the same one Jong Hong had given his father as a child. Meanwhile, Sua finds a 2003 magazine at school and recognizes a man she knew in childhood, the father of her close friend Xiang, who we now learn is actually Jong Hong. While the guard waited on the rooftop, a man in black appeared and tried to steal the notebook, leading to a struggle that resulted in the guard's fall. Jong Hong chases the masked man to the rooftop where they fight. The attacker tries to take the notebook, but Jong Hong overpowers him and draws a gun. However, a sudden noise distracts him, giving the man in black a chance to escape. It's revealed the man in black was the school director, who apologizes to the chairwoman for failing to retrieve the notebook. Furious, Jong Hong storms into the National Intelligence Service, demanding to know why his father's notebook was at the school. Unable to hide the truth, the director confesses that Jong Hong's father's final mission also involved searching for the missing gold bars linked to the school. That's where he went missing. Jong Hong examines his father's notebook, which contains secrets about the school, various clues, and a list of things his father wanted to do, including visiting an observatory with his son. Devastated, Jong Hong skips school the next day. The school announces the security guard's death, claiming a suicide note was found.
야, 경비 아저씨 얘기 들었냐?
Once composed, Jong Hong returns to school determined to uncover the notebook's secrets. Following a clue, he discovers a red light sensor hidden behind the clock's pendulum, the so-called red eye from Legends. He records the sound emitted by the mechanism. Just as he restores the clock to normal, Sua walks in and confronts him about the guard's death and his presence on the rooftop. She'd stayed late at school, heard a loud noise, and witnessed his fight with the masked man, even seeing him point a gun. This was the noise that had distracted him during the fight. With no other option, Jong Hong reveals the truth. He's an agent with the National Intelligence Service, undercover to locate the missing gold bars. To secure Sua's cooperation, he gives her two choices: join the national mission or face over 10 years in prison for leaking state secrets. After initially threatening her, Jong Hong's uncle scolds him for pressuring a civilian and orders him to apologize. Jong Hong invites Sua to dinner, hoping she'll forgive his harsh approach. Imagining herself being rewarded and easily securing a permanent job, Sua agrees to keep Jong Hong's secret and assist with the mission. Jong Hong reveals Yu Jong is his cousin and warns Sua she could be in danger if the man in black discovers she witnessed the scene. When he gently takes her hand, promising to protect her, Sua becomes flustered and runs off,
학생이고 넌 학생이야. 아, 뭐야?
leaving Jong Hong confused by her reaction. The investigation reveals connections between urban legends and the school's anthem. Sua officially joins the team, offering to help with piano skills needed for their mission. Despite Jong Hong's concerns for her safety, she's determined to achieve her goal of becoming a full-time teacher. They work together to acquire the director's fingerprint and plan to infiltrate the chairwoman's office during an important event. During their piano lesson, their fingers brush against each other, intensifying emotions between them.
도, 솔, 도, 솔.
When Jong Hong teaches her self-defense, she hugs him tightly, causing overwhelming feelings that make him abruptly end the session. On the day of the operation, Jong Hong arrives dressed sharply and is stunned by how beautiful Sua looks. He nearly forgets to breathe, remembering her childhood wish to be proposed to while wearing a beautiful dress. He gives her a tranquilizer syringe for protection and compliments her beauty while promising to keep her safe. The mission faces complications when power is restored earlier than expected, forcing improvisation.
여기 책임자 누구야?
Jong Hong and Sua reach the chairwoman's office and play the piano duet. Discovering one key makes no sound. While erasing computer logs as instructed, Jong Hong notices an unexpected folder containing their entire operation plan, including his real name. This revelation deeply shakes him. Someone within the agency is the traitor, leaving no one he can trust. After the mission, Sua helps a grateful waiter who gives her a card a student had dropped. Using the card's website, Sua discovers a portal for manipulating academic rankings. Learning of Sua's discovery, the chairwoman warns her to follow rules and obey superiors. Disgusted by the corruption, Sua asks Jong Hong for help, but overwhelmed by the mole situation, he initially can't get involved. However, seeing Yu Jong studying hard, unaware the rankings are rigged, he decides to investigate with Sua. They work tirelessly through the night, discovering the chairwoman makes deals with parents supporting her Edu City project, guaranteeing their children high grades in exchange for backing. Jong Hong takes evidence to the National Intelligence Service, but Seoko orders him not to interfere in the school fraud case. The chairwoman complains that Jong Hong is jeopardizing her plans and demands his removal. Jong Hong receives an official order to abort the mission, but decides to confront her directly. During lunch, he casually asks about gym renovations, piquing her interest about the next urban legend. Meanwhile, the man in black searches Jong Hong's house for something. When Sua arrives unexpectedly, she encounters the intruder who accidentally stabs her during a struggle for her phone before fleeing. Jong Hong finds her injured and rushes her to the hospital. Fortunately, the knife missed vital organs. The crime scene reveals the teacher who forged test scores was there, and Jong Hong's father's notebook is missing. Jong Hong deduces the chairwoman was most interested in obtaining it. The teacher, wanting out of the forgery schemes, hands the notebook to Mongju, but she finds no information about the fourth urban legend. When the teacher is taken to be disposed of,
선배.
Jong Hong dramatically arrives to save him and his captured teammates just as they're about to be crushed in a car compactor. After a fierce struggle, he defeats the principal and saves everyone just in time. Jong Hong brings the teacher to testify, but first tests if Seoko is the mole by sharing the teacher's location and waiting to see if anyone tries to rescue him. When no one shows up, Jong Hong apologizes to his uncle for his suspicions. He confronts the chairwoman with evidence of her crimes, including the teacher's live testimony exposing the grade grade scandal. However, the real mole is revealed to be the director of the National Intelligence Service himself, who appears during Mongju's interrogation. Through hidden recordings, Jong-hong learns the truth about his father's death. Years ago, the director had forced Jong-hong's father to meet with Mongju on the school rooftop. When Jong-hong's father revealed the supposed secret vault was empty, just a product of her delusional obsession, she threatened young Jong-hong's safety. During the struggle, Mongju took the director's gun and shot Jong-hong's father, who escaped to the secret room where he died. After hearing this conversation, Jong-hong calls the director, revealing he knows everything. The director asks to meet, claiming he's willing to cooperate, but Jong-hong arrives to find the director already dead in a car. Before he can react, he's struck from behind and wakes up in the car with the dead director, covered in blood and holding a knife. The police arrest him for murder. Seoko and the team rush to find evidence of Jong-hong's innocence, discovering a recording where the director identified Mongju as the killer. However, corrupt police confiscate the evidence, and the recording is destroyed.
정혜성, 앞으로.
Mongju visits Jong-hong in custody, demanding the location of the gold. When he realizes she's delusional about the non-existent gold, she gives him 1 day to reconsider, or she'll harm his loved ones, starting with Yu Jong. On the way to detention, Jong-hong attacks the officers, takes a gun, and forces the driver to stop, but they crash. Bleeding and injured, he crawls to a phone booth and calls Sua for help before passing out. She tracks him down and takes him to a motel. When Jong-hong recovers, Sua scolds him for taking dangerous risks. The team arrives disguised and armed, and Yu Jong reveals she'd hidden the real flash drive with the recording. Since Jong-hong is wanted and his teammates are being watched, Sua volunteers to retrieve it, despite Jong-hong's concerns for her safety. Police track them to the motel, forcing them to split up. Jong-hong distracts police so Sua can escape, getting hit by a car but managing to flee. A fellow agent helps retrieve the flash drive, and Jong-hong goes to the police station demanding arrest warrants for Mongju and her accomplice John. Recently, the school faces severe backlash and financial issues. Board members demand Mongju's resignation, but she refuses, claiming she can only be removed with 3/4 consent of students and faculty. She promises to cancel unfair policies if Sua resigns immediately. Sua agrees for the students' sake, but Mongju plans to reinstate the policies after Sua's resignation. Yu Jung overhears this conversation and exposes Mongju's lies during a school meeting. Students show support for Sua, speaking out against the president for the first time.
선생님은 저희를 포기할 수가 없어서.
Realizing her plan failed, Mongju calls Jong-hong and ominously says the only fair thing in the world is death. Jong-hong rushes to the school where Mongju appears with gasoline and a lighter, intending to die with everyone. Sua shields the students.
여러분 공평한 거 좋아하잖아요.
Just as Jong-hong arrives, demanding Mongju drop the lighter, Yu Jong sends a message to Yena, who orders John to return immediately. Jong-hong slides his gun to Mongju, asking her to let go of her obsession. When Yena runs in begging her mother to stop, Mongju can no longer burn the place with her daughter inside. She grabs the gun and points it at herself, but Sua lunges at her, making the lighter fall. Jong-hong dives and catches it in midair, preventing tragedy. Seoko and the team arrest Mongju and John. Due to exhaustion, Jong-hong faints and wakes up in the hospital. At the hearing, John reveals that Mongju killed Jong-hong's father and confesses to killing the school guard and agency director under her orders. Mongju is sentenced to life in prison. Jong-hong returns to say goodbye to his classmates, who express their affection with paper planes containing messages of gratitude. Back home, while organizing his things, he notices a star drawn on the floor. As a child, he'd always searched for the North Star his father said he'd hidden. The floorboard sounds different when tapped, and when he opens it, he's shocked to find the legendary gold hidden beneath. 5 years later, Sua has fulfilled her promise and become a full-time teacher. She proudly shows off the light novel written by her former student Dongmin, Undercover High School, which has become a huge success. Yu Jung has graduated and is about to become a National Intelligence Service agent. Yena has found her true passion and is closer than ever to Yu Jung. Seoko has become the new director, and Yu Jung finally gave in to her colleagues' charm.
조만간 조카가 생길지도 모르겠어.
When Jong-hong arrives at dinner, surrounded by people he loves, the couple announces their engagement. After dinner, Jong-hong takes Sua to see the stars, gently asking her to close her eyes before lovingly placing an engagement ring on her finger. As they kiss under the starry sky, we're treated to a bonus scene showing Jong-hong once again going undercover in a school, but this time as a teacher. The story comes full circle, showing how an impossible mission led not only to solving a decades-old mystery, but also to finding true love, healing from past trauma, and building a family of choice with the people who matter most.